Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at some of these coins then, shall we? And I've got a little bit of a cough and a bit of a bunged up nose. I'm hoping it's not coronavirus, to be honest with you, but yeah, if this is it, it's not that bad anyway. So let's have a look at Bitcoin, shall we? And we'll move on to Ethereum and XRP and Matic. We'll have a peep at all of these then, shall we? So first of all, first thing I see when I look at this chart now is it looks like, and it just looks like it's reached its peak for the moment, okay, and that's not a big deal. That's actually okay, because if we can close the week at this level now, 9,100 thereabouts, give or take, so between 9,050, 9,150, within that area, if we can close the weekly there, we'll be closing it above all major moving averages, and that's a good thing. That means we're back in bullish territory, even though technically we never left it, but technically, you know, it's still things are kind of hanging in the balance. If we can close it there, it should be okay. Too early to put a trend in there, but technically it's okay. So go back down to the daily now that I've shown you that, because that should fill you with some confidence if you're holding onto it. This level here has been rejected both yesterday and today, so I would expect that we're gonna have a bit of a pullback from here. I don't expect it to be massive, maybe $200, $300, thereabouts, around that area, maybe down to first take would be around about this level here. This is the 9 EMA, this big fat grey line. That'll be my first take, because we were rejected on this level here. I would expect to see a support here, so we're rejected 3 times. I would expect to see a support there on this occasion. So that would be around about 9,950-ish area. If that fails, then down to the 10 simple, which would be 8,800. That would be the pullback for me. I don't think we're going to get a deeper pullback than that. We might have a bigger wick down there, but I don't think we'll have any candle bodies closing beneath that area. Not the way I see it at the moment. Now when we go down to these other areas, we have a nice looking RSI snaking up, making higher highs and higher lows, which is a nice looking sign, and it looks like the MACD could be in for a cross over the next few days into next week, which leads me to believe, and you know, when we're dancing around the sort of moves at the moment where we could be starting a downtrend, or we could just be recovering from a deeper than what we would like to have seen correction. You know, so this $2,000 move, you know, over the space of a few days is bit scary for most. That to me, I think, was a bit of a hunt for late longs, and I think a lot of those late longs have probably been liquidated by now. On top of that, there was lots of shorts being poured on top. There was the entire market sentiment with coronavirus scaring traditional markets, so there was a lot of pressure to the down, but the chart excuse me, the chart actually looks like it's about to kick into super bullish mode. But that's just what the chart says. You know, if some world calamity, world event kicks off like coronavirus and all this lot of the other, the chart cannot predict that. But the chart in itself, in all fairness, you could have expected a pullback. Just the pullback was a little deeper than I thought it was going to be. The good thing is we supported on the 200 exponential moving average, and because we've stayed above there, I'm still bullish. It's only if we break down beneath the 200 exponential I would actually change to actual downtrend bearish mode, and I would become essentially a perma bear until further notice. I mean, I was guilty of being a perma bear throughout the majority of this move. Now, the reason being, I was a perma bear because we were in a bearish trend. So, you know, I flipped over shortly after we broke out of this descending trend to essentially a perma bull, which is where I am right now. So I am still very bullish on Bitcoin. And next week, I would like to think that this cross will have happened. The RSI will be still hopefully within this area. So hopefully I'm looking to see maybe sideways to perhaps a little bit of a downtrend, but not so much down that we make a lower low on the RSI. So long as we don't make a lower low on the RSI through the weekend, next week should be pretty bullish. I'm talking by the end of next week, we'll have peaked this level here. We'll be up and above 10,500, maybe into 11,000s. Might sound a little optimistic, but that's where I'm going with this. Now let's have a look at some of these other coins. I'll tell you what, we'll look at Ethereum next, because Ethereum is my biggest holding. And Ethereum chart is bullish, definitely, and it's slightly different to that of Bitcoin. So, excuse me. So first of all, instead of coming down to the 200 exponential like Bitcoin did, we actually rested on the green 50 exponential, which is a very good sign. That is, in unto itself, much more bullish than Bitcoin, because it's showing that yes, there was a deep correction. Let's measure that correction out from there to the bottom to the lowest wick, a 27% correction. Pretty nasty, but actually our first major moving average, which is, and it's one of my favourites, I'm that much of a geek that I have favourite moving averages. The green 50 and the white 200 are always my favourites. They're the most reliable. I could sacrifice pretty much any indicator and trade just on those two. If I had to choose anything, I would just choose those, and maybe the MACD to be thrown in, and I reckon I could still trade reasonably successfully. Anyway, I digress from the point. The fact is, we rested above the green 50 exponential, clearly supported on it over all these days, not breaking down beneath it. And if you were to break down beneath it, where would we likely be supported? Probably the white 200 exponential moving average. That's just the way I see these charts. They generally follow suit. They're both very, very, very important moving averages, and I could trade pretty much just off the back of those. Obviously, I wouldn't advise it. But, so basically that's bullish into itself. We did have a MACD cross here, just like Bitcoin did, and actually our MACD cross isn't as bullish as Bitcoin's is. Bitcoin's is almost crossing, whereas this one looks like it will take a little longer to make that cross, unless of course we pump hard, which we could do. But yeah, it's still sort of, it's above the 0 point. I don't think that Bitcoin's is. No, Bitcoin's is beneath it. So there's that in itself is bullish, which basically means we are in bullish territory with the MACD, even though we've not had that that confirmation cross. But bullish divergence, we have snaking RSI and making, I suppose, higher highs and higher lows in a very, very sort of curved fashion, but it's still good. It's still very good. So basically, this one looks like it wants to at least test the centre of the Bollinger Band on the daily, which currently is around about 244. Now, I did say that Bitcoin could pull back as much as $300, which means that we could pull back with Ethereum. Where are we going to pull back with Ethereum? We could probably lose all of today's gains, probably come back down to around about 225 to start with. If that falls down, then we're back down to the the 50, the green 50 exponential moving average, which is moving up into of its own accord. So we could say maybe come down to around about 220. I'd find that very, very unlikely, but that's in the event that Bitcoin does do that $300 dump over the weekend, which is it's possible. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's likely, but it's very possible. That's where we stand there with Ethereum, and I'm very happy with that. Excuse me. I hope this isn't Corona, man. I hope not. Right, so XRP. So one of the best calls I ever did, and the worst calls. I got very excited when I saw us break out of this descending trend, which we've been stuck in for over 2 years, as you can see. 2-year consolidation beneath the trend line, and then when we broke above it, we went to town. We went crazy. I saw us break out of this. I went crazy on that one. I got involved here. I made loads in that. I waited for a pullback. I also made more on this, sold at 34 because I knew that there'd be an obvious sort of pullback, and I was hoping to do it all again. Unfortunately, what happened is I had no chance to do it again, and actually I took a little bit of a hit on this one. I was expecting to see these bounces get continued, and I was buying the bounce each time, never got continued, and then when we broke down from here, we're basically back down to underperforming XRP all over again. Now the good thing is, as this is a descending trend line, it's actually getting quite steep at the moment. It's very steep. It means that we're either going to get pushed much, much lower, or we're going to break out of it. I think the likelihood is we're going to break out of it, because we are going to be carried with the rest of the market. If Bitcoin pumps, if Ethereum pumps, XRP will pump with it out of default, just through pure association. It will pump. It won't pump as hard, it won't pump as much, but it won't go down, let's face it. It's not going to go down, it'll still underperform. The fact is, all we need to do is underperform above these levels. Basically, above, if we were to do it today, it would be 25.5 cent. If it was the day after, it would be 22 and a quarter, or 25 and a quarter, and so on and so on. And it goes down and down and down until we start next week, which will be 1, 2, 3. We'll be starting here on the 9th, and it'll be 25 cent flat. Breaking above 25 cent flat would basically mean we've broken out the descending trend again. I would expect to see a big pump again, just like this one, because it's our opportunity at this point, our opportunity to break out of the descending trend, stay above it, form a bullish continuation. It would be the end of its consolidation trend, basically, the end of it. It'll be over. But, you know, it is pumping and dumping, so be wary, but I would expect to see a pump once we've broken out of that level. So as of next week, anything above 25 cent should have some decent continuation, but probably some decent, some tragic pullbacks. Let me have a quick sip of my tea, hang on. As far as the rest of the chart's concerned though, we're below most moving averages of any significance. We're above the 10 simple, the 9 EMA, nothing to write home about there. RSI is looking good, definitely a lot of room to move, and this MACD looks like it wants to cross at the same time as Bitcoin would possibly. So next week, if we continue with this price action and move up a little bit, we will certainly get that cross into next week. So again, this is looking bullish for next week, and could maybe have one of those giant big moves where we move 10, 15, maybe even more % in a single day once we've broken out the descending trend. So the clear and obvious place would be rejection at where we found rejection before, 34 cent. I don't think it's going to get that far even after its a breakout. I think we're likely to break out of the Bollinger Band, but I don't think we're going to reach 34 on its first FOMO run. Maybe not even on the day after that. But it's looking good. It's looking good, just like Ethereum, just like Bitcoin, but it's definitely got its own thing going on, which is this descending trend, and that's the thing to watch. Breaking out of that trend should cause a giant pop of the XRP bubble, and any opportunity, I suppose, to buy on that descending trend is an opportunity not to be missed. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, so that's not financial advice. I'm kind of speaking out loud. That's what I'm going to be doing. I will be buying once we've broken out of this descending trend. Every time we break out from it, you take it for what it's worth, sell, wait for it to come back. If it tests it again, excellent opportunity, buy it back again, and so on and so on and so on, until hopefully one of those would essentially be the bottom, and XRP will continue indefinitely, and perhaps maybe never see those prices again. Let's move on to our last coin here, which is Matic. Matic is my, what do you call it? My guilty pleasure coin. It's the coin that the basis of this channel was formed on, really, the Matic journey, and it's still a journey. It's a turbulent one at that. So what we saw here was we saw a giant move. We kind of saw this one coming. We kind of predicted this one, that there was going to be some big moves coming out, and we got that big move. And where we were rejected from, basically the 27 cent mark, which is where we expect to get rejected from. We expect to get rejected from that because this is where we're rejected here and here. It's the magic number for Matic. So to play it safe, buy it to at least sell it at the 27 cent level, and then if it breaks above 27 cent and 27 cent holds, and it's a clear hold on a daily at least, then buy it back. That is what I will be planning on doing. That is what I did. I bought it, I sold it around this level. I was going to buy it back, but it didn't hold. It didn't close a daily candle above it, and so it failed. So now what we're waiting to do is waiting to see how far it consolidates to, probably down to one of these, which would be the first opportunity is probably going to be the 9 EMA is what I'd expect. So as of today, that's 2.3 cent. Don't think it's going to come down that far today. This is in the event that Bitcoin sort of collapses, it could get brought all the way back down to that level. The likelihood is, it could revisit or at least wick around these launch pads here. Because if you look at the way that we launched from here, we hit the top of the Bollinger Band, then we had a massive continuation, a massive continuation again. This candlestick from the bottom of the wick to the top is completely outside of the Bollinger Band. So Bollinger Bands, as you know, are like magnets drawing that price action back into it, which is what's happening now. It's being drawn back in to within the range of that Bollinger Band. So we're back in it now. We're going to close within it. That's fine. We might try to do some more pumps with this one. I don't think it's going to have continuation yet. I think it needs to consolidate after this silly move. We don't normally see whole daily candles, closing from bottom to top wick outside of a daily Bollinger Band. I mean, that's just crazy. You're asking for trouble. RSI came right up to the top here and is bouncing down, but the MACD on the daily is looking very, very good. So, this will likely have continuation, but it will also have steep correction at this point. So expect to see more downside to this one in the short term. But over the next couple of weeks, I would like to see 27 cent moved and taken out again. Preferably, what I'd like to see is an opportunity to buy back down around the 9 EMA. I'll be buying it up around that level, and I will be selling it again at the 27 cent mark. That's the rule, and if we break above there, I'll be waiting for it to come back down to test. So if it looks like it's going crazy and it's reaching all the way up to 30 or 32 or 34, I'm not going to FOMO in. I'll wait for it to come back down again. If it never comes back down, doesn't matter. I'd rather balance my risk reward on something like this, because there's plenty of risk involved with Matic. Plenty of reward, mind you, plenty of risk. So I'll be waiting for it to close above the 2.7 cent support above it, clear supports, not funny looking ones, clear supports, and then I'll be buying it back for the next move up, which would hopefully be probably smash through 3 cent. I'd probably say the next opportunity for a rejection would be between 3 to 3.2, maybe 3.4 cent. Anyway, I'm just going to leave it with you there. Short and sweet video. Hopefully I've not got coronavirus and it's just a tickly cough and a snotty nose, and I wish you all the best. I've got an Instagram now, so you can follow me on Instagram. It's a lot easier for me to make very fleeting trade analysis on my phone, post it to Instagram, post it to Twitter. I've also got a Telegram group. I'll leave all the links below. Feel free to join me. If you want to donate to me, I'd be very pleased if you did, but if you don't worry. Your money is probably better off in your pocket than it is mine. Thanks for watching. Have a nice evening and a good weekend. Take it easy.